Shirts! Everyone is talking about the shirt. Where did it come from? Where did it go? What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? And over the past couple weeks, people have been going crazy with speculation as to what this could represent and why. I'll be completely honest, I've never been much of a speculation guy, since I prefer to leave room for developers to surprise me, and I feel there is such a thing as overanalyzing stuff. However, what I have heard are great or fun theories that involve this shirt and the potential new job that Yoshi P could be referring to. So today, I'll address my top 5 favorite fan theories about what the 2023 Las Vegas FanFest shirt represents, and why. So, for those not in the know, for the past few years now, Yoshi P has worn certain shirts during previous FanFests to try and tease what we may have to look forward to in the future. For example, one of the last big ones was a shirt with the Grim Reaper on it, and then Reaper was eventually announced as a future job. Fun stuff, right? So this time, the shirt everyone is talking about has the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles blazoned on the front. Of course, this has led to dozens of theories, but I'll only be handpicking some of my personal favorites. So, if there's a theory that I didn't reference that you want people to know about, make sure to leave a comment in the description as to what the theory is, or at least tell us where people can find it. Now, Yoshi P said that this next expansion was going to be the first one where they sort of break their past formula. Instead of getting a new tank, a melee job, and a mage, a range job, which is what the original formula would have called for, we're getting a new melee DPS and a new ranged magic caster DPS. Blessed are the tank and healer queues, for they are holy in the eyes of the 12. That being said, my picks have tried to respect this forewarning, so any theory that suggests one of the jobs will be a tank or a healer or a physical range DPS, I'm kind of just ignoring those. So, without further ado, let's begin. Number 1. Pictomancer. This theory has got to be my favorite overall, and that's a name that I never thought I'd hear again, yet here we are. Some of you may be wondering, what on earth is a Pictomancer? Well, this is a job that is mostly well known for its debut in Final Fantasy VI, and was the magical ability of a young girl named Realm Aroni. Pictomancy is a magic school that converts artistic drawings and paintings into something more real for a brief time. For example, if I were to paint a chocobo, well, then a painted chocobo would run around until the spell ran out of power. The same idea applies to stuff like forests, rainfall, or even fire. Everything she drew seemingly would come to life for a brief time. But this isn't the first time we've seen artistry represented as a magical focus in media. Characters like Rill from Black Clover and even Sai from Naruto have been seen using drawings as a method of dealing damage and controlling the battlefield. And since Pictomancy could be considered a weaker offshoot of creation magic, it wouldn't be entirely out of place in the world of Final Fantasy XIV. But why? What inspired people to think that Pictomancy is what this TMNT shirt represents? Simple, it's in their names. Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, all of these men have one thing in common. They were all considered artistic visionaries. Also, throw in the idea that some people say the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles could have originally been painted turtles, and the artistic themes just keep popping up. This is why I find this theory to be positively delightful. It makes sense on multiple levels and has a place in the Final Fantasy franchise already. So to those who came up with the idea of Pictomancer, my hat's off to you. What a wonderful theory. Number 2. Green Mage. Do you get it? It's 'cause they're green. That's about it. That's as deep as this rabbit hole goes. While this theory isn't nearly as inspired as the Pictomancer idea, I also believe in Occam's razor, so I'll never completely disregard the obvious or blunt observations completely out of hand. However, green magic is another one of those obscure types that not many people think about, so allow me to explain. Green magic is a type of spell school that only really makes its appearance in the Evilise titles, such as Final Fantasy XII and offshoots of Final Fantasy Tactics. But what is green magic? Well, while black magic is all about heavy damage and white magic is all about healing, green magic is all about statuses. Green magic exists to debuff your enemies and empower your allies, turning what would be an obvious loss into an overwhelming victory by tilting the scales in your favor. By providing shields and elemental buffs to allies, they'll survive longer and deal more damage, and by debuffing your enemies, they'll struggle to fight back as they're slowed down and debilitated. Normally I wouldn't entertain an idea like this, as it seems that Final Fantasy XIV's design team hates the idea of debuffs and damage over time. Rest in peace, original summoner. But I don't know, I'd be impressed if they sort of doubled back and decided to reintroduce abandoned concepts. And as such, I've not entirely rejected the idea of a green mage. Number 3. Now we're stepping away from mages and observing the weapons of the turtles themselves. Since we're getting a new melee DPS job as well as a magic caster, literally everyone is saying that the melee DPS will be using scouting gear, just like ninja. And the turtles are ninjas, so that's also a bit of a on-the-nose observation. So it could easily be that the shirt isn't referring to a mage job at all, and is instead pushing us in the direction of a scouting DPS. But then that kind of begs the question, what kind? Because ninja already exists. And, well, amongst all the theories I've seen, people have tried to focus on their weapons. Raphael uses a weapon called a sai, Donatello has a bow staff, Michelangelo his nunchucks, and Leonardo with his 2 ninjato blades. This has led a lot of people into thinking that the answer to the melee DPS question lies within one of these weapons. Some say that the ninjato are off the table since we already have ninja daggers, katanas, etc. Meanwhile, others would cite that the bow staff would be a good complement to us since we're already using spears with dragoon, and so on and so forth. So, as you can guess, this theory has less to do with narrowing it down to one specific job and more trying to crack the code on the subtle messaging behind the shirt. Ninjas are a scouting job, thus the new job must be scouting, and not all the weapons on the shirt are in-game. It makes sense, but they already stated that they're stepping further away from traditional Final Fantasy jobs. Reaper and Sage are great examples of this decision. So keep an eye on those weapons, my friend, they may be the key. Number 4. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are a hint toward the Kojin of the Far East. This theory asserts that the use of turtles is an obvious nod to the Kojin of Othard. But why would people reach back toward them? Well, it has to do with the fact that our new adventure to the new world will reveal a culture that is much more spiritual than we're used to. The Kojin themselves are also spiritual, using more than a few spells and abilities that taps into the etheric energies that flow through the land. Some say this is Yoshi P's way of saying Geomancer is going to be the next job, given its Far East origins. Others say that it might be more of a spirit charmer, given that we have seen Kojin interacting with the Kami before. Either way, I can't say I dislike the idea of referencing older material in this way. After all, it's a pretty obvious line to draw since the TMNT and Kojin are both anthropomorphic turtles. But only time will tell if this theory bears any fruit or not. Number 5. You're probably expecting me to say Corsair for the last theory, aren't you? Well, sorry to disappoint, but I don't see Corsair anywhere in this shirt. Not only that, Corsair was a Final Fantasy XI job that mostly used a gun and gambling as its main gimmick. Machinist already uses a gun, so the weapon is off the table. Dancer's kit is all about RNG, so the randomness shtick is already taken, and Astrologians already use cards, so a lot of Corsair's draw is already gutted and taken. So honestly, if we do get a job named Corsair, I bet it'd be something like Sage, where it's familiar in name, but completely unfamiliar mechanically. Which would kind of be weird, seeing as we never hear about a pirate job until now, despite having been part of the pirate capital of the world for a decade. Seriously though, if a pirate somehow comes out of this shirt, I'll want to know how for sure. But no, my true final theory for this video has to do with variety. It was theorized by some people that the use of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was to allude to a job that has a type of diversity to its kit. Instead of being just one weapon, it'll make use of more than one type of weapon or fighting style, much like how the Turtles themselves are very different people with different preferred ways of combat. I gotta admit, the idea of a 4-in-1 type job interests me, especially after seeing what Vanna did in Endwalker, where she danced between using swords, chakrams, and staves over and over again. So, if this shirt is meant to say that the new job is just as versatile and able to bounce between different weapon types, I'd be curious to see what it's capable of. And those are currently my favorite fan theories from the Las Vegas FanFest 2023. I'm sure we'll have much more to talk about after the convention over in Europe, and I for one am excited to see what happens. To me, that's the best part of these fan theories, because it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. In the end, we're all getting something cool and new regardless. So, don't forget to leave your suggestions and ideas in the comments below, and I will be hard at work on the next video. Till then, stay safe, my friends. Thank you all for watching to the end. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe and share this with your fellow adventurers? With your help, I'll try to reach out even further and bring even greater stories to you. Although, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my biggest contributors. A grand thank you to Amina Viltaria, Travanchet, Vavalisoma, Sage Mouse, Sinalv Bagel, and Cizani, with an additional nod to the scholarships on screen. Links to things like my Twitter and that of my channel artist Caddy can be found in the description. Thank you all for your viewership as well as your support, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Class dismissed.